With Shane Boz's potential return right around the corner, find out if Matt and I are buying in on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, is my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly, truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It subscribes to the channel and gives you notification every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, but most importantly to Matt and I, guys, join us on the Subtext platform. On Subtext, it's a personalized, in-depth experience through text messaging alerts right to your phone. You can find the link to our Subtext in the bio wherever you're listening or watching, or it's available on any of our social media platforms. And our sponsor today is Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. And something that's super awesome that you can all take part in, guys, we're giving away one of these awesome hats. Check it out. If you're on YouTube right now, I'm rocking it. The way you can join, the way you can enter the giveaway is sharing any of our posts on X or Instagram. Each share earns you an entry into the draw. The more you share, the greater your chances are of winning. Don't miss out. The drawing will be held on June 14th, so get in the game now. And guys, we have an awesome one for you today. I kind of teased it at the top, a little action from Shane Baz. Matt, let's go for it, bro. Let's talk.
All right. So Shane Baz here. Excuse me there. Shane Baz looks like he's pitched quite a few. He's got pitched about 3 innings so far, or what is it? 8 innings through 3 starts. They said he needs one more start before he can return to the Rays. At least one more start. So essentially it could be, depending on how deep he goes, because he's already done about 69 pitches in a single game. I guess they want to see him hit, like 80 is my assumption, maybe 90. See how far I'll let him go. And if there's no setbacks or they feel like he didn't lose velocity towards the end of that or so on and so forth, then they'll probably bring him up. I just don't know what his role is going to be once he's up at Tampa. Is he going to be in the bullpen? Is he going to be a starter? These are all things that I just don't know. There's a lot of looming questions around what Baz is and what they're going to actually limit him to, because they also like to do openers as well. So with Shane Baz, I think he's worth an ad, essentially, is what I'm getting at, to see what that role is going to be carved out for if he does happen to get the call up at the end of next week. So it's one of those things where it could pan out, or, you could just end up dropping him by the end of next week, depending on what they say his role is. But even if he does end up in the bullpen, there is still opportunity for him, whether it's injury or a guy underperforming, to work himself into the rotation. They may just want to keep stretching him out and not, straining his arm as much. But Dom may feel different on this.
No, Matt, great. No, you're honestly, you really hit the nail on the head there. I don't think he's going to wind up being a drop. Honestly, I'm when I saw his ownership percentages today, I was actually shocked. Shane Baz on Yahoo right now is only 28% owned. A guy that has the prospect pedigree, former top prospect. I know he hasn't really looked great in the minors, but the thing is, he's healthy. That's all you can ask for, from a guy like Baz. But he's got the big fastball. He's got a good slider. He throws a curveball and a changeup as well. Changeup's not something he really throws too much, but he mixes it in. Really has the stuff to be an elite talent. Has really shown it throughout his minor league career. Had a really strong 2019 in the minors, a 2.99 ERA, 81 innings, 87 Ks, and a 1.23 WHIP. The year after was actually even better with a 2.06 ERA, 17 starts, 78 innings, 113 strikeouts. Got that WHIP to a sub 0.9, a 0.80. I mean, he's really got the talent, got the stuff to do it. 28% owned. I think everyone should take a shot on him, but that's just me. Let's keep things pushing, though. Shane Baz, definitely, I think, must add. Let's talk about Christian Encarnacion-Strand. Strand was somebody that, we were absolutely in love with, and he had a really strong finish to the year last year. But, the injury bug, has bitten him, and he's been off to a slow start. The projection here is that he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. So what I'm saying is throw him on your watch list, even if he's owned in your leagues. Throw him on your watch list, and let's see where this goes with Strand, because he's a guy who could come back and absolutely just go on a tear. I know all of our ILs are clogged up at the moment, and it might be a tough one, but this is a watch list IL prospect type episode. I think Christian Encarnacion-Strand is somebody, when in a world where we need hitting at the moment, is somebody to throw on that watch list. And if people drop him, you got the IL spot, definitely stash him. If you don't, just keep it and see where things goes. If he gets good news, on his follow-up exam on June 5th, and we get a better report, hey, you got him on your watch list, or you added him and he's on your IL already, and you don't have to worry about it. And you have a guy that could hit 20 home runs the rest of the way on your roster with a good batting average.
Yeah, and quite honestly, it's funny, right? So like the way they found this injury for Strand is he got hit in the hand. They did an X-ray and said, "Oh, it looks like you didn't fracture it today, but it looked like you already had a fracture." So like, you may be like, "Oh, well, why even talk about this kid? Because he's kind of flopped. He had a great spring, and then he comes into the bigs and doesn't do anything." But you look at, how the fact that he had a fracture and he was playing on it kind of explains all the underlying stats of how his average exit velocity is down. When in the minors it was cranking. It was in the 90s. His max EV was up there with Ellie De La Cruz. You look at all the other stuff that he's doing wrong that is just outside of his profile. He doesn't chase like that. He doesn't strike out like that. He has better plate control than this. He's honestly was just trying to figure out what was wrong, and ultimately it was just the wrist at the end of the day. So I think Strand returning from this makes him that much this injury makes it that much more indicative that he's going to have a bounce back. So at 50% owned, if he's sitting out there, you need to go and add him and stash him now, because I think there's going to be the exact thing that we saw in the spring, and it's just going to be domination from here on out. So stash him now.
Matt, real quick, I want to throw one last thing in here with Strand. We didn't even mention the prospect pedigree's elite. He's hit 300 every year he's been in the minors. 2022, 32 homers, hit 304. 2023 in the minors, 20 homers, hit 331. This guy just gets it done. And like I said, in a world where we actually need bats more than we need arms right now, Strand is a great stash.
Yeah, I honestly, it's funny when you say when we need how you say that, bro. When we need bats more than we need arms right now, makes it sound like we're about to go to war.
Or like I was gonna say a superhero movie.
Yeah, when you're all down and the cards are folded, we really need you to step up. I feel like I'm on the lines right here at boot camp or something.
Oh Lord. Oh.
All right, let's move on. Enough joking here. Let's talk about Matt McLain, another guy that's just had terrible luck. I think it's his shoulder, if I'm not mistaken, and it just kind of like it's been bothering him from spring, and he really didn't even get to play much, unfortunately. But McLain is somebody that's interesting. So he had a really good campaign in 2023, right? We go back, we look at what he did. He had, 365 at bats. He had 65 runs. He had 23 doubles, 4 triples, 16 bombs, 50 ribs, 14 stolen bases. Walked like almost none and struck out like a monster. Still batted 290, had an OPS of 840, a slug of 507, and an OPP of 357. Like, he had good stats. Now, you go and you look at what he did last year on like a more advanced level, and like you look at what you really are looking at him, and he's like, okay, well, you could see how he got there and how he didn't really have too much power, but there's, I think, still another step forward for him, which is why I'm going to say go out and stash him. May have sounded like this was a negative take to start, but ultimately I look at him and I go, okay, I look at his prospect pedigree of what he's done in the minors in 23, where he had 12 home runs and 144 at bats, 17 and 371. The dude has a path to be super successful, even with all those strikeouts. May kill you in points leagues, but I still think there's going to be a lot of value. I say stash him now before everybody else catches on.
Yeah, and before you find out if I agree here with Matt on Matt McLain, we do have a quick ad break for you guys. Game Time is the authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip off, with killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. Last minute deals save up to 60% off last minute for sports, concert, comedy, and theater near you. Flash deals save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. Zone deals save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats. All in pricing, toggling this feature shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Seat views get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 100% the difference, 110% the difference, which is actually 10% better. Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets and their lowest prices always guaranteed. And guys, get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all of your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit fanduel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. And guys, real quick, I'll actually throw this one out there because I've been watching a little bit of NBA playoffs. I'm digging the Timberwolves, guys. I think the Timberwolves got this thing locked up. I love Anthony Edwards, Gobert, and Karl Anthony Towns. So I like the Timberwolves there in the NBA. But once again, FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. And are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch over to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And guys, once again, we're introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on the Subtext platform, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. As this season continues to unfold, you can rely on us for dynamic content. Get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call-up notifications, injury reactions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of your fantasy league by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext, where the path to your victories begins. Subscribe now and elevate your fantasy baseball experience to a new level. Whew. As always, my brother, you know the feeling after those 4 in a row. I'm gonna pass it back off to you. Actually, I think I have to talk, don't I? I don't think I have a choice. Actually, I was excited to pass that off. But Matt McLain, right? Let's dig into Matt McLain here. Like the speed potential, like the power potential. The batting average is the thing that I don't know how accurate that's going to be for Matt McLain, because in his longest stint in the minors, it was 103 games in 2022 at the AA level. He did only hit 232. I mean, he did have a strong bounce back in 2023. We hit 340 across 41 games, but 103 games, a lot more than 41 games, and that's almost 200 over 200 more at bats there as well. So I think he could be a 260, 270 guy with good power, good speed. That Reds team is great for fantasy baseball. So I think Matt McLain is definitely somebody that we need to look at stashing. The thing is, obviously, he did get that shoulder surgery on his labrum, not expected back until August or September. So that's that late season push. Once again, I know it's tough to keep guys stashed right now with the way everyone's being hurt. But if you're in the league with an unlimited IL or 5, 6, 7 IL stashes and you got the spot, McLain's 47% owned, and he's really one of those guys that you stash now. I was talking about Scooble like this last year, and he really panned out down the stretch for us. If McLain could be back in early August, which is probably on the earlier end of his potential return, I really think he could help us fantasy owners the rest of the way. But Matt, I'm going to pass the next guy to you, my brother.
It's all good. So this is going to be a difference of opinion when it comes to this. This is more of a Dom guy than it is a me guy, and I'm going to give my take on it, and I'll let Dom hit the other side. And it's DJ LeMahieu. So when it comes to DJ, I'm not really a fan for him for fantasy baseball, even for real baseball, in all honesty, at this point. He's more on here to just say, hey, what do I do with him? I see him out there on the IL, or I've been stashing him because I'm a DJ fan. How do I handle this? Well, for me, at least, I'm pretty much dropping him. I'm not even looking at him. I look at him and he has that last year alone, 497 at bats. He had 55 runs, 22 doubles, 3 triples, 15 bombs, 44 ribs, 2 stolen bases, and batted 243. Now, yes, his slug was decent. His OPS was okay. His OBP was nothing that was really screaming at me. And I look at him and I'm just like, okay, so you look at like a 5x5 league, right? Where is he really contributing? What is his actual outcome going to be when he does return? Does he hit, 400 at bats? Does he hit 350 at bats? And what's that going to look like? Is he even going to hit me 10 home runs? The runs and ribbies you would think would be there if he got in the leadoff position. But I mean, I don't see how they're going to put him there when they can have Anthony Volpe there or they can have, Cabrera there or anybody else. I think if anything, he's going to fall lower into the lineup and just not be as productive as we'd like him to be. I think the time has passed on LeMahieu. He's overpaid. I don't even want him on the Yankees at this point.
Damn, is the haterade there, man?
Oh, it's full fledged. I got it in the IV right now. That's how much haterade I have for LeMahieu. I straight up just am not a fan for him for both the Yankees and fantasy baseball at this point. I'm personally staying away. Now I know Dom feels the exact opposite. So please, this is the whole point of it. Should you stash? Should you not? Let's hear it.
So I'm definitely more optimistic than you are. I'll definitely start by saying that I agree with a lot of your points. DJ's getting older, and it's tough to still believe after the past few years. But you know what? He's been hurt. He's been banged up. I guess that does come with the old age, and I wouldn't be shocked if he came back and he went right back on the IL. The reason I am optimistic is just because when DJ's healthy, we do kind of know who he is. He can contribute in the batting average department. And this is, once again, and as Matt said, it depends where the Yankees throw him back into that lineup. I don't think he gets the leadoff spot easily, but we've known Aaron Boone, historically over the years does like to put him there. I know Volpe's been, up and down a little bit. So even if DJ could find that 9 spot, right, and then where that top of the lineup turns over, and he has Volpe and Soto and Judge right behind him, right, so the runs could still be good in that area. So if he's helping you in batting average and runs, I think that's decent. DJ is eligible at 3 great positions right now on Yahoo. He is eligible at first, second, and third. So I do love that. He's definitely not my favorite guy we're talking about today, but at 13% owned, we definitely have some guys in deep leagues that are, listening to this at the moment that could use him, that could use a guy like this that is going to come back, be on a good baseball team and help you out in a couple of categories. But we can keep things pushing here, and let's go from actually one of our favorite teams in the AL East to one of our least favorite teams in the NL East, Masataka Yoshida. I do love Yoshida though as a player. And I think when this guy comes back, we're going to see, why the hype was, really all about. He had a pretty good season last year. Once again, did deal with some injuries. Yoshida's 48% owned on the year, 24 games played, 275 batting average, 12 runs, 2 homers, 11 RBIs, no steals for Yoshida. I really had that pedigree before he came over to the States. And, we were all very, very excited about him. Is 30 years old. I would really love to see some of these guys come over, like in their prime. I think we're going to see Murakami in a few years, but he's also going to be like 27 years old. And not that that's not his prime, but we'll love to see these guys in the States a little bit earlier. And last year, Yoshida, 140 games, 537 at bats, 71 runs, 15 homers, 72 RBIs, 8 steals, 34 walks to 81 strikeouts, a 289 batting average. We kind of know who he is. He'll give you a little bit of pop. He'll give you a little bit of speed. If he's sitting in the middle of that Boston lineup, runs and RBI should be, decent as well. And he's not killing you in points leagues. Even on the year, through his 80 at-bats, he had 6 walks and 11 strikeouts. So the plate discipline is really good for Yoshida as well.
Yeah, no, I like Yoshida at the end of the day. I had him ranked pretty highly. I feel there'll be a resurgence once, he's healthy and whatnot. So we shall see. I think he's worth his stash at this point, especially in like a deeper league, in the shallow league, like 10 team, 8 team.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
don't even consider him. But like, you hit the 12 mans, the 14 mans, the 15 mans,
And
etc.
5 outfielders.
Yeah, that too. Like those are when like I'll start considering stashing him. But I honestly wouldn't be surprised the second he comes off the IL, he doesn't go on a tear either. So like obviously don't stash him in those shallow leagues, but definitely keep an eye on for the day he does return to be healthy. So yeah. But yeah, before we move on, and we got prospects and prospects galore coming up on the back end half of the show, we do have a quick ad for you. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks. You pick more or less than 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Exploring my skills on PrizePicks this season adds an extra layer of excitement to daily fantasy sports. With just a few taps, you could transform $10 into $1,000 easily. Prize Picks is incredibly user friendly. You can make your selections and submit your entries in less than 60 seconds. And guys, since we're here talking about it, I might as well give you something to start your day off right when you're placing your first picks. Offer Ryan Mountcastle to have higher than 0.5 total bases in next game. Offer Shohei Ohtani to have higher than 0.5 home runs in his next outing. And offer CJ Abrams to have higher than 0.5 stolen bases in his next game. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit match of $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with Prize Picks. And okay, Dom, go for it, my friend.
Yeah, so let's go from one Boston Red Sox to another prospect, though, this time. Let's talk Marcelo Mayer. Mayer was somebody that, has grown on me over the years. He came out, in the 2021 draft, was actually the number one rated prospect going into the draft by MLB Pipeline. Went to Boston Red Sox with the 4th pick. And, has progressed actually fairly nicely over the years. Had a little bit of a hiccup in 2023, but has really bounced back strong so far this year in AA. Through 37 games, Mayer is hitting .305 with 29 runs, 16 doubles, 4 homers, 21 RBIs, 11 walks to 37 strikeouts, and 9 steals. So this is a guy that definitely has pop in that bat, has a little bit of speed to him. I don't know if he makes his debut this year. The injuries pile up over there in Boston. They've been dealing with, a little bit of injury over there. So I don't know if he really does make that push, if he stays hot and keeps it pushing, maybe. But I think this is a guy that we all at least need to know the name. Once again, Marcelo Mayer, top prospect for the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, he's an interesting one, right? Like he has 40 grade speed, 55 potential ceiling on power. Like he has some things that kind of like some tangibles that make him like an interesting want. I don't know how fast I'm going out there to add him if he gets the call, but he's somebody that you might want to say, okay, we'll take a speculative call
I'll
on.
say this: if he gets the call, I'm adding him. If he gets the call, I'm adding him.
We'll see. I guess you'll have him in our leagues, but I mean, me, I'll take a little bit more conservative pace on him. But he is interesting, right? He'll be a speculative ad. But let's move on. Let's talk about Kyle Teel, another guy that like I'm not too like keen on, nor do I like am like
Another Red Sox.
super like another Red Sox. Why are we talking about the Red Sox? Just call us locked on Boston right here. Like, all right, so like he is interesting. You look at him and you go, okay. In college, he had a pretty good career. He had, in a short stint, 13 home runs. Looks like he has power. Looks like he has batting average, plate discipline, all that wonderful stuff. Comes into the minors this year. I mean, last year, and didn't show off the power and in the small little exposure he had. And then this year comes in and it's kind of the same thing. He's had about 113 at bats. He only has 3 home runs. He has 17 ribs. He has 1 stolen base. He's batting .274. So things that are translated and things that haven't really is the plate discipline is there. The power hasn't really translated. I don't know if it's the difference in bat or whatever, but ultimately you look at him and you're like, okay, well, he's kind of like whatever. They're ranking him on like Fangraphs right now as a 50 raw power, 30 game power, speed's about a 45. So like you look at him and you go, okay, there is some upside just based off of his college career, but then you look at a little bit how they're ranking him, and it's just like I'm not really too sure, but he's interesting. Will he get the call this year? I don't know. It's a possibility. He is in AAA. He might be a speculative ad as well.
Yeah, I like me a little bit of Kyle Teel. I mean, as you said, he really the power wasn't super legit. I mean, it was only 26 games, but he did hit .363 across 3 levels last year. You love to see that batting average, and you love to see the walk to strikeout ratio was 21 walks to 22 strikeouts. Still hitting pretty good this year, as Matt read off those numbers for you. The power still isn't really shining. I'm waiting to see that from Kyle Teel. And I think Boston is too. Right now, Connor Wong is over there lighting up the world in Boston at the catcher spot. So as Matt said, I don't know if we see him imminently, but hey, could always just be an injury away, or or Connor Wong just becomes his normal self and isn't excelling the way he is, and Boston makes a push and they say, hey, listen, we want to get this guy up here. That's definitely a possibility, but is not something that I think any of us are banking on. Once again, these are just prospects that we want you guys to know about. Keep them in your mind, throw them on your watch list. So when they do eventually get the call, or something happens, like, oh, okay, I've heard that name before. I heard them talked about, and you're not scared to go out and add them, and you know who they are, and you have some background on them. I always felt that helped me over the years in fantasy, so I hope it helps you guys as well. But let's move on to our next prospect. Let's talk some Drew Thorpe. And I love me some Drew Thorpe. As a Yankee fan, it's sad to see him leave, but it's great to see him excel over, in the Chicago White Sox system. And he's a big baseball boy. I love him. 6'4", 212, great frame on this kid. First 8 starts this year for Thorpe, 6 wins, a loss, a 1.50 ERA, 42 innings, 40 strikeouts, only 13 walks. Batters are hitting 179 against him, and it's a 0.93 whip. I think we see Drew Thorpe this year for sure. I don't think that White Sox rotation is rock solid. I think there's definitely a way for him to crack it. And honestly, he's a guy that as soon as he gets the call, I think it's an instant ad. I think he's going to be a very, very, very good starting pitcher in this league. Definitely has the stuff to get it done. And only 2% owned. If you're in one of those deeper leagues, dynasty keeper situation, where you keep your whole roster, something like that, you might want to go out there and take a look at him. I just absolutely love the kid.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. He's probably the guy that, like, if he's out there, like, you have him on your watch list, and you're pretty much just hanging on to every thread of when he'll be called up, because he's definitely going to be an instant impact guy. The guy has a talent, like Dom said. So, you know, when there's a will, there's a way, and I think Thorpe works up sooner than later. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of June.
Yeah.
But let's keep moving. Let's talk about Xavier Isaac, and I like this kid. He's big. He's interesting. 6'4", 240 pounds. Now, does he get the call this year? Maybe. We shall see. He's 20 years old, so maybe he'll be like a September call, but somebody I want you to have right here in the back of your head. So far on the season, he has 124 at bats, 29 runs, 8 doubles, 8 bombs, 37 ribs, 8 stolen bases. Funny enough, he's walked 17 times to 37 strikeouts. He's batting 282. The crazier part is when you go look at like his kind of like what what they grade him as. He has a raw power grade of 60 with the ceiling of 70, which is bananas. Obviously, his speed's in the dirt, being 240 pounds. Game power is interesting. They're not really grading his plate discipline all that well, but I think he has that too. In all honesty, this kid is going to be great. I think once he does get the call, but it's just a matter of when. If we see a promotion or two really quickly, things might start, accelerating pretty fast. So keep an eye on Xavier Isaac.
Yeah, so with Isaac, it's tough to see a path for him to make it up this year. I mean, he's only in high A at the moment. I do love the production, as Matt read off. I even love the plate discipline for him as well. Really could take a walk last year. 64 walks to 92 strikeouts. This year, 17 walks to 37 strikeouts. And Matt was talking about the speed grade, but sometimes it doesn't matter. Where there's a will, there's a way. He has 8 steals so far this year. He had 12 so far. Had 12 last year through 102 games. So even the 8 through 35 games this year is super impressive. You seen Judge have had a year with like almost 20 stolen bases. You see it sometimes out of the big guys that are athletic. They can go out there and steal you a bag or two. But let's move on to our last name of the day. Unfortunately, guys, Matt had to run out and pick up his children. So we're just wrapping this last one up with myself and you guys. Let's talk some James Triantos. Now, James Triantos was somebody who had a big Arizona fall league and was really rose up prospect radars. And he's out there, just still smoking the ball in Double-A, hitting 293 through 38 games, 22 runs, 3 homers, 19 RBIs, 7 walks to 17 strikeouts, and 10 steals. This is a guy that I think there could be a potential path for him to get up to the bigs this year. if the Cubs are making a run and they just want to get another bat in there, there's always, like I say, sometimes it's always an injury away. And when you get a guy with a pedigree like this that has taken it to another level, has made those adjustments, I mean, and once again, it really depends what they want to do there. They got Morel at third and Dansby at short, but guys are struggling right now on that Cubs team. And like I said, they could want to make a change, get a guy like this up there, especially if you see that promotion to AAA and he kind of just keeps doing the same thing he has been doing. Once again, James Triantos, this is a guy that could come up to the bigs and has the hit tool to really just be effective right away and honestly give you some batting average, give you a little bit of steals, and maybe some plate discipline as well there with Mr. James Triantos. But guys, that's going to be all for us today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. And thank you for everydayers and new listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. But guys, until next time, see ya.